Hi, we're going to do real-time watercolor painting of this dish. I'm just putting some water on the paper. We're trying to do things that should really be the best of my ability, this painting, because, I don't know if you saw my post on the shorts right now, which was... a year ago today, we painted this dish. Now it didn't really come out really great. This looks this is the reason I don't usually wet the paper, is because now it's already curling. This is Stonehenge paper. I did this painting. It's a little mini, what do you call it? This was the kumquats and 2 grapefruit and a glass. Also on my real-time watercolor painting things, it's this paper here, which is the so-called Chinese Arches Legion, and 300 pound. It's really thick paper. Maybe I would be happy if I taped it down, but I don't know. Anyway, time to jump right in, because as usual I'm late for work. So we got the blue palette here, and let's grab a big brush to start. That's a single light source on there, and so let's see about just getting ourselves a nice blue here. I don't know what blue that is. We're just gonna try to get a blue. That looks good. We don't want a blue straight from the tube, so what can we add in there? How about this faint gray violet we got there? That does not look anything like a color match. Neither does this. And maybe that. No, I don't know. See this. It doesn't look anything like that. Well, we don't really need a color match, right? What would we need a color match for? It's a little bit more like a cerulean hint in that blue. Okay, well, that's not it at all either. What color is this? Oh, that's kind of like a Primatech blue. I guess that's kind of leaning. Okay, I'm like that. All right, we mixed 5 blues, so no one can say that we are going straight from the tube on this baby. All right, here goes. So I guess I'm gonna try the overhead light. We have to remember what that looks like, but we're gonna have the overhead light. This now we got a damp thingy, and rather than starting with the ellipse, I want to start with the shadows that are in the back. You see that triangle back there? That's what I want to start with, and I'm just going to start with this like dark right there. Whoops, didn't really want to paint the jar. Okay, so we're going to start with that right there. That's this triangle. There it is. Okay, voila. Now that I would say is like the darkest dark. There's also a dark out there. I didn't really want to do the ellipse to start, but let's just start the ellipse here. An ellipse is like, I was really tempted to like get those ellipse plastic things where you just trace the ellipse, because an ellipse is a pretty difficult thing to get right. Well, anyway, now I really didn't want to do the ellipse first thing, but I guess we're doing it. So now we're just going to sort of say, here's the bottom, I guess. Reason I'm doing dotted lines, couple reasons, is, well, I don't know how to explain it right now. Anyway, this thing here is actually a triangle, so I'm just going to see about the top of the thing in there, and then here, and then this is much lighter. The top of the triangle. So here I'm going to try to get some of that off. Okay, that certainly went off. This is not the best paper, by the way. Now here I want to soften the edge right here and there. I'll leave those specks of white in. And then here, this is another tone comes out. So, and see that little white speck there? I'm leaving that in because I think that'll help us with depth later on. And here, this should actually not be there. And another thing about this paper, like, oh, it came off that little unwanted area. Okay, that's cool. All right, that, and then now down here, this is, we have a hard line comes down here. So let's just see if we can get that. So now I'm gonna grab a little more paint because that is kind of a hard line right here. And now this is like right there. Hi, two people here. We are attempting to do this. You look at my shorts. I did this exact jar a year ago today. Here I'm going to try to just start creaming over this top. The top has like very few highlights, so now having the reason I did that dotted line is just to make it a little easier. This ellipse thing, an ellipse is like a total pain to do an ellipse. All right, here I'm going to try this area right here. There's kind of a thing going down, and it's pretty light, but it has a and then down here the bottom, and now I'm going to try to just color in this whole mass. And over here it's more of a reflection. I'm going to see about doing this, and then I want to pull off some of that color. And then here, let's try and keep it symmetrical. And this is a more round area. This is a very difficult subject, if you ask me, and half the reason I'm trying it is because I think it looks impossible, and to challenge oneself to do something that looks pretty impossible is a good idea, because a lot of subjects, we don't try because, well, I could never do that, right? And in fact is, you probably could never do it, but by trying, we are busting out with I don't know, get the no fear thing happening. Okay, and how about the bottom? The bottom has more of a pixie, what do you call it, color, a tutti frutti color, I could call it. I'm going to try, this is a tutti frutti color. Let's just see if we can't start hitting the bottom. And the bottom in there, I mean, you can see a lot of different tones, blobs, and I'm going to just try to get this right here. And this does not look anything like what we want to achieve here, but by identifying planes of a consistent color, such as this triangle back here, this area here, is our first thing that we identified as a consistent color. So just by adding those, where's a recent glass? Let's see. Well, that was a recent glass. I mean, you can sort of see it looks a little bit like glass, and it was all just started the same way as we're starting this one, like just painting little areas. And oh, here's the last glass. It is a disaster, that glass, but you know, it looks a little bit, you can see the glass kind of. So that's what we're trying to do here. All right, time for, you know what, I'm going to try to introduce some gray just to get a slightly different tone on the blue. So let's just go right here. It's going to be gray. That's a cool gray, and hopefully that'll say, hi, I'm the rear area of the what do you call it, dish. Okay, cool. I'm going to wet that down. This is not going good at all, right? But wait. We'll get this, and let's try to go here. And then here, we really got to get that tutti frutti color going somehow. I have a very tutti frutti, I don't know what they call this one. I never even liked it, but because it's kind of tutti frutti. And that is not at all our color. Put some gray in there. That is not at all that color. Okay. It's really like, that's like a cerulean blue, which I do not have any cerulean blue as far as I know. So, painting a cerulean blue dish with no cerulean blue is going to be the name of this video. I'm going to put something here, and let's go right here. Is this dry? Not really. Okay, well that's cool. I mean, doesn't look like it really belongs, but it's. I think suddenly we have a little bit of depth happening. Okay. Hey, Hale Oliver. Thanks for the greeting. I guess you left. Hey, Sarah. Thanks a lot for the greeting. And we're trying to do this dish. We had low expectations, but you know that's not going to be a deterrent. Let's see. Okay, time to really, let's just start hitting it because it's going nowhere fast in a way here. Trying to get some. It's another reason I don't dark. I mean, I don't like wet the paper is because it takes so long to get dry. I guess I like more working with a dry surface. Okay, that's kind of good. Let's see if we can. That's nice. Okay, and we need something back here saying, hey, I am back here. And what about that shadow? I think it's time to like say hi where the shadow. Let's see. The shadow is really something that is going to not be fun. I'm going to try to soften at least some of this edge. I don't mind that. You see these little white things here? That's gives like you know, some texture. And then the shadow, I'm gonna move my paper here. There's a triangle here, but then up here is lighter. And that's this I put so we could just blend in. And then here, this is just a big murky mass, but here it gets lighter. So right now I'm just trying to get this to taper into nothing. And now we need this edge softer. Hope it's not too late. Now that doesn't look bad. And now this, we want this to really disappear. Okay, that looks good, right? This area here. All right, now down here, I guess we're just gonna see about, or go a little bit heavier right here. And this, I kind of think we should let it dry and then put a light wash there so it's like still there but not quite as abrupt. So that doesn't look too bad, everything about this shadow, except maybe I think a little warm tone right here, just slightly warm. Is right here just to say, hey, we're in the front of the shadow. And that is a slightly warm tone. Now let's get rid of a lot of it just so it's very subtle. All right, now let's see if we can just soften this entire, so I'm going to take a damp brush. I just want to soften this entire line right here. So it's just not a hard line. Okay, that's softer. Okay, and here if we could just maybe soften that a little bit more. And this hard line I think is good because that is close and hard line is going to appear close. So here, this up here on the other hand is far, so if this could just fuzz out, that would be a lot better. So let's see if we can get a good fuzz out up in this top area here. And that seems to be fuzzing out. And what the behavior of the water right there is going to tell us a lot about this Stonehenge paper. Is it good or not? Because that could turn into a real gross looking, I think they call them cauliflowers. So, yeah, we would pay attention to what's going on there. I don't know. Maybe you can just get a little off there. And this, I think that's probably dry enough. I'm going to just take a damp brush here and just kind of go through this, leave it there, but you know, now it's more fade. Maybe it's a good time to fade that out. I don't know. This I'm going to leave. I think it's good. And then down here, same thing. Take a damp brush and see if we can fade this. Okay, wow, now that looks pretty good. I guess up here, we could say goodbye. And then here, let's just tighten up. Okay, there I left a hairline, and you know, we're gonna say that hairline is the, here I guess we're gonna come in here and tighten that up, and then right here, this got to come and connect here, right? Okay, well, and then I don't know what's happening up there. I don't really like that. Let's see if we can. I guess we're stuck with that. So I don't know. I guess that might be there for balance now. And this should really go. Let's see if we can make it go. Okay, it sort of went. All right, next. Speaking of going, let's see if we can't get a highlight right here that is going to be just by removing the paint that's right there. Okay, it is kind of going. Okay. Oh, the shadow looks not half bad, right? Anyway, let's try to quickly fill in the blanks, like all this white space here. So we're gonna want here. I got um, kind of a light blue, so I'm just gonna try to hit that with some light blue. I guess up here, get rid of that. Here, light blue. Probably would have been good if we had this light blue first thing we did, but we don't have that. Here I'm gonna just try to just kind of soften this a little bit. See there. And then here, this sort of goes. If I like that. And then try to come down here. This whole thing can go. And that doesn't look great. I'll blot some of that up. And, you know, right here we got a highlight. So let's see if we can promote the highlight on the front rim just by leaving a white space there. And I do want to keep this oval kidney shaped thing there. At least for a while, right? I don't know what that reflection actually is. Trying to see what that reflection could be. It could be the light, I guess. No, it's not the light. I guess it's the